the national title picture is wide open in college football. And not wide open because, like, realistically, like, how many teams could win it? You'd probably say, like, 5 or 6. But if you went back, I mean, a couple of years ago, you came into the season knowing there's 2 or 3 teams that can win.
I was going to say, like, I mean, I don't know much about college, but I know that. Like, that's, like, 5 or 6.
Right. It was Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State. Those are the teams that can win. Everybody else is just playing for fun. And now we're at a point where if you said teams that can win the national championship, you got to say Georgia. You have to say Oregon. You have to say Ohio State. You have to say LSU. You have to say, I mean, I guess you technically have to say Penn State. I don't think Penn State can win the national championship, but they're undefeated and ranked in the top 5, so you have to say them. And then, listen, the Alabama thing, obviously people are out on them now because they lost to Vandy. Shout out to Thor. Shout out to Diego Pavia. And then they mess around and lose to South Carolina, and then they lose to Tennessee. Or no, they barely beat South Carolina, right? And then they mess around and lose to Tennessee. And so now people are out on them. They want Kalen DeBoer fired. But I think if they're talented enough, they can still win the national championship. The point is that we have to start thinking about college football the way we think about the NFL, where there are a bunch of teams that could beat any of the other teams on any given day. And it's really going to come down to 1, who stays healthy, 2, who plays well on that day in the playoffs, and then 3 would be like coaching and matchups.
Sorry, do you think that's better or worse to have like the college product?
That's
separated them, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends who you ask about that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you ask ESPN and if you ask CBS and you ask Fox, they're going to say it's better because they get more inventory with these bigger playoff games. You get more big time, like matchups between the big teams. Like if it was up to them, they would have a 32 team college football league of the best teams in the Big Ten, the best teams in the SEC, and we'll just play each other all the time. And there'll always be great matchups, and the TV ratings go through the roof. And then if you want to, that's how all this money comes in, right? All this money that is in college football now is all coming directly from the TV companies, right? They run the sport, they own it. And so if you're the ADs and if you're the coaches, your salary keeps going up. And if you're the players who are pushing to get a split of that money, they're not there yet, but they're gonna get there. They all like it too. If you ask the college football fan, they probably don't. There's probably a bunch of them. There are a bunch of them. I know there are a bunch of them that don't like the playoff. That don't like. It's not that they don't like the NIL, but they don't necessarily like that all the talent's getting dispersed now, which is very funny because just up until a couple years ago, the biggest complaint amongst college football fans was, all the best players play on 3 teams, and now the talent's spread out more, and they're like, well, this kind of stuck what we loved about college football. Here's my thing. People who would make the argument against the expanded playoff and the NIL and the conference realignment, which is all of the things that are contributing to college football being more like the NFL. People who are against that, their main argument for it is that it is deriving college football of what made it special, in that it's different from the NFL, in that we don't all play for the championship and the games matter more. And to those people, I would say, did you watch Alabama, Tennessee? Did you watch LSU Ole Miss a couple weeks ago? What do you mean the games don't matter?
Yeah, no, for sure.
What are you talking about? There's 100,000 people in the stands who want nothing more than for their team to win, and there's millions at home watching it. It's like, if you were watching college football before and thought the only reason the games mattered is because teams weren't trying to win a national championship, and now they're not going to matter because teams are trying to win a national championship, that didn't make the hatred go away. I've said this a couple times now on the show. College football runs on hatred. That's what makes it special, is the hatred. I promise you. We're going to have a 36-team playoff. We're going to have a 300-team playoff. LSU is going to hate Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to hate Michigan. Michigan's going to stink. Well, they do stink this year. That game between Ohio State and Michigan has no national championship implications at all. Michigan can win that game by 300 points. They will not make the playoff. They will not win a national championship. That game is going to matter so much. So much. Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State, is going to get fired if he loses that game because he's lost 3 times in a row, and you can't lose 4 times and keep your job. That's just not going to happen. Doesn't matter what else you do. So to say that game doesn't, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me when people say that, like, if what made college football special was that people cared about it so much, then why would there being more games make people care less? Because they didn't care about before caring about the national championship. They still don't care about the national championship. It still matters because you hate that guy next to you, and because of the rivalry and the tradition of it. And that's never going away. The pageantry of it never is going away. Like I've watched these games. Alabama, Georgia, the first game. That's a game the NFL can't give you. The NFL cannot give you a game where there's so much on the line between those two teams, and just in terms of reputation, like these guys are all recruit the same players. So Alabama beating Georgia, Georgia beating Alabama is massive because you are going after the exact same guys, and you get to now go to their living room next week and go, "Hey, we beat their ass. You're gonna go there." Yeah. That matters. It matters to the fan. So to have a team come back from 20, go up 28, then lose it, then get it back, like that's not happening in the NFL. You can't get that there. So there's still the uniqueness of college football. And that's never going away. And so people, it's like, listen, the money's going to keep coming. Very likely, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to split themselves off, and they're going to create some sort of super league. And people are going to tell you that that's the end of college football, and it's over now, and it's just an NFL development league. And I'm telling you, those people could not be more wrong about what makes this sport go in terms of like what the motivation behind like these why do we do this? Obviously the money is now the biggest reason why people do this, but like why do like the people do, why do the fans care, right? And it's that's never going away, and college football's not going away. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.